Pastor Robert Jeffress joins me right now. Once again, good to see you, sir. Thanks so much for joining us.
Thanks, Maria.
So we saw that play out again. Why do you think that any attempts to take him down is actually helping him?
Well, you know, it's interesting. What you're seeing, this is an untold story that's getting ready to get told. It's not just the political establishment that's been railing against Trump. It's the religious establishment. This last week, you had two major religious publications, the Christian Post and Christianity Today, relentlessly attacking Donald Trump. But the more they rail against him, the more he rises in the polls. And I think people in the pew are just like voters everywhere. They don't want the establishment, whether it be the political establishment or the religious establishment, telling them for whom to vote.
Yeah,
people want an outsider.
That's absolutely bottom line. Dagan McDowell, Lee Carter, your thoughts on last night? What an amazing night to see the wins that Donald Trump came away with.
Because a lot of people were looking at the results from Saturday, saying Donald Trump had lost steam. He hurt himself in the debate. You saw how in Louisiana, how the day of voters went for Ted Cruz, and everybody was trying to use that to show cracks in the Trump candidacy. And lo and behold, look what he pulled off last night. But I want to ask the pastor, because you do see evangelicals, you saw it in Michigan, going for Donald Trump. Do you think that's a change in the past when they might have voted for a more, I would say, overtly religious candidate? And is this different, you think?
Yes, it is, Dagan. There has been a seismic shift in what I think a lot of evangelicals are looking for. Now, look, there's a minimum threshold of conservatism you have to get the evangelical vote. A couple of weeks ago, when Trump was here in Fort Worth, he asked me to come on stage and to address the group. And I talked about the fact that Trump is pro-life. He is pro-religious liberty. That's enough for most social conservatives right now. What they're looking for is a leader. People feel like they are tired of the status quo, which Ronald Reagan said is Latin for the mess we're in. Most evangelicals feel like we are in a mess, and they're looking for a leader to lead us out of that mess.
It's absolutely true.
And I have a question, too, about this, because I've been talking to voters out there, and I've talked to some evangelicals who have corrected me and said, you know, you can say that Trump is not a Christian. You can say he's not evangelical, but he claims to be a Christian. So, you know, who am I to judge whether or not he is a Christian? So what would you say to that?
Well, what I would say to that is when Trump holds up his Bible, most evangelicals get it. He's sending a message. He is saying, though I may not be exactly like you in every way, at least I like you and don't hate you like the current occupant of the Oval Office does. I mean, whenever Barack Obama talks about conservative Christians, he cannot hide his contempt, telling them to get off their high horses and clinging to their guns and their Bibles. People are tired of that, and they're looking for somebody like Donald Trump, at least, who will show some respect toward evangelical Christians.
So much so that they don't necessarily want any substance in terms of what he may do on the policy front. They just want to know that somebody will be in the White House who is going to be tough and going to protect and going to fight for America.
Well, let me say this, Maria. I said at the rally with Trump a couple of weeks ago, I said, look, a lot of people may doubt Donald Trump's pro-life conversion, but nobody is even suggesting that Hillary Clinton has had a pro-life conversion. She doesn't claim it. There may be some doubt about Donald Trump's policies. There are no doubts about Hillary Clinton's policies. She will be the most pro-abortion president in history if elected, and I think that's what's motivating evangelicals to go toward Donald Trump. They want somebody who can beat Hillary Clinton, and they think he may be the best option.
That's a fair point. What do you girls think about going into Florida?
Well, I think that the big loser last night was Marco Rubio.
Unbelievable.
And in a major way, if you look at Super Tuesday, he got, at a minimum, I think, cleared 18% of the vote in all the Super Tuesday contests, and he hasn't reached that number since then, and he had his two worst showings in Mississippi and Michigan.
What is that? Would he drop out before the Florida contest? I don't think so.
I don't think he will. I mean, if he really wants someone besides Trump to win, he probably should.
Yeah.
But I don't think he will. And I think, you know, we saw him drop like a lead balloon, and people are saying that, you know, he just wasn't true to himself. He lost his way. And I think his authenticity was totally in question.
That's it. As soon as he started cracking jokes, and making fun of Donald Trump's sweat mustache. I said, that's not, even if that is him, we haven't seen that Marco Rubio until then, and so people don't trust it. They don't believe it.
Yeah,
it's inauthentic.
And what we know right now is that voters want someone who is authentic, who is who they say they are, because they've been so disappointed over and over and over again. And so I think Rubio had a really, well, little Rubio had a little night, right?
Oh, my
See,
God.
that's stuck. That's stuck. Trump calling him Little Rubio and Lion Ted. But I want to know, if the pastor, would you tell Trump to stop accusing people of lying? That's not very becoming, is it?
Look, I have said to Mr. Trump personally, who am I to give advice? I mean, you have $10 billion and you're at the top of the polls. What he's doing seems to be working.
Yeah.
And look, let's don't lose sight of the bigger story. The bigger story is Ted Cruz should have won the South. This was the Bible Belt, and yet with a few exceptions, it was Trump who marched through the South like General Sherman. And now that we're out of the South, the map only looks better for Trump and worse for Cruz.
Yeah, it's really unbelievable, actually. Pastor Robert Jeffress, good to see you, sir. Thanks so much. We'll see you soon.
Thank you.